Cosmic Jack. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I want to dive deep into Uranus in Gemini and how it is teeing us up to motherfucking shift timelines and really anchor in and become the future version of yourself. And I did a deep dive into all things Uranus in a previous video, so be sure to go back and watch that. I'll link it below, because Uranus is the disruptor, it is the shifter, it is the shaker, it is the mover, it is the activator, it is the awakener. Uranus transits always bring change to the sign, to the house that it transits. It shakes things up to rearrange things in better alignment than it was before. It really destabilizes to restabilize, and it's really about breaking the patterns of the past, breaking the habit of being yourself, and really shifting things into like a higher octave energy, a higher consciousness, a higher vibration. Uranus is all about consciousness. It is all about your point of view, your vantage point, your vision. And people who have vision and a strong point of view are really powerful manifestors. And really the miracles, the magic, the manifestations that you're looking for is just a shift in consciousness, which means you have to welcome and embrace change. And I have really been kind of having a lot of conversations about change and what it means to change. I am someone who's like really comfortable with change. I have a mutable moon and I'm all air. So air is very adaptive. Mutable signs are very adaptive. And, you know, I like to move fast. Like that's what we're here to do. We like shift and change fast. And so Uranus's journey through Taurus was bringing about a lot of concrete 3D change, a lot of somatic change, a lot of change within your embodiment, a lot of change to your resources, your values, your money, the way you make money changed or shift. But through Uranus and Taurus, it was really about relationship, your relationship to yourself, how you see, view, and value yourself, how you treat yourself, how you love on yourself. Taurus is about the relationship that you have with yourself, sets the tone and the foundation and the frequency of how everything else outside of you meets you. And Taurus is super somatic in nature. And so we really had to come deeper into our bodies. And Uranus is about the nervous system. So it really opened and expanded our bodies and to a new way of doing things, really. And it's like very much like a frequency forward and a frequency first kind of energy now that we're moving into once it enters into Gemini, which will happen on April 25th. And this is going to be a huge shift. And the way that I really see Uranus and Taurus it was a lot about the body. And then when it moves into Gemini, it's going to be a lot about the head and the mind. And if you are in your body and you're grounded in your body, you're really going to take off with Uranus and Gemini. If you are really stuck in patterns of like overthought, disassociation, kind of numb, shut down, just like hypervigilant patterns, trying to control everything, trying to micromanage everything with your mind, a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, a lot of lack. Uranus and Gemini is not, it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging and triggering for you because Uranus and Gemini wants you in your body so that your consciousness in your mind, like think of like your crown, can be open to receive the downloads, the visions, the guidance, the wisdom, so that you can then go and execute. And if you're in your mind, you're not in your body, you're not open to like a higher octave consciousness like coming through the crown. And so Uranus and Gemini wants to travel light. Things are going to be really fast and forward moving. This is like lightning quick energy. I always just describe and depict Uranus as lightning, and you know, Gemini is fast, Uranus is fast. So if you've ever met a Gemini, they're like all over the place all at once. They have their hands in a million different things. They have all these ideas. They have, you know, they're trying to fly all their planes at once. And Uranus is very much like that higher octave it's the higher octave energy of Mercury. So it's also like very a lifted, higher elevated state. So there's a lot of like fast extroverted movement with Uranus and Gemini. And so you really just want to make time and make sure that you're really grounded in your body so that you can really move fast and quantum shift timelines with this transit. Another thing I'm just being called to say, there's definitely going to be an activation of some sort of like divine love template, some like kind of like twin flame relationship dynamic when Uranus goes into Gemini. The first wave was when Uranus went into Taurus. The second wave is Uranus and Gemini. Uranus has to do with relationships, and people don't talk about that enough. It's Venus and Uranus are the planets of relationship. They're actually conjunct today as I'm recording this video in Taurus, and I know there's been a lot of relationship kind of shifts and shakeups and breakups and divine union and coming together and creating a new foundation, a new frequency of relationship. And so, confirmation. That is going to be a huge theme moving forward. Relationships are a huge catalyst. They are powerful mirrors. They are powerful portals. And what is coming through now is like a higher octave energy of divine love. It's like a divine love frequency that's getting anchored onto the planet. From like pure, like, so if everything that you did and all of your moves, all of your behaviors, all of your energy that moved through your body was the frequency of divine love, like how would that shift things? And so there's this whole new higher octave energy that's like being penetrated onto the planet, for lack of a better word. And so it really is about living from the heart space. The heart space is where the masculine and feminine meet. Gemini is about the duality of the masculine and feminine. It is the twins. It's the right side of the body, the left side of the body. Using your hands, like the hands are extensions of the heart chakra. That's why you have like healing hands. That's why they nailed Jesus to the cross from his hands, right? The palms are extensions of the heart chakra. So there is this like duality that you're being asked to like embody and integrate deeper within yourself between your own masculine and feminine, which is what is going, like when there's two sovereign, independent, masculine and feminine integrated humans that come into relationship, that's going to activate this whole other divine light and light white energy on the planet. You know, it's funny because I'm being called to share this. It's funny. I was just like in New York for a week, and every single like Uber or car that I had all weekend with my friends was like a white SUV. And it was so funny because they were like, there's no like white SUVs like in New York. Like they're all like just like black cars. And I'm like, no, this is like the frequency. This is like the white horse energy. That's like, it's like the dark energy is being transferred to the light. And now we're like existing from this like white light energy. And it's a different energy because it's light. And when you carry a lightness and a levity to you, which is what Gemini represents, people feel it. People want to be around lightness because it's so rare, because so many people are stuck in the density and the dullness of like their 3D bodies because they haven't done the work to clear out their emotions yet. And so they really hold and store that in their lower 3 chakras, which are actually like more of the masculine chakras. And so that's what keeps you on this like 3D plane of existence, is the density that you hold in your body, right? And so when you can clear out your body and let light move through your body, that's when the heart can open. And so when you live from a light heart, your energy is so palpable, right? Because it's a different feeling. Like it's like everyone else's lights are off and yours is on. It's like you're going to stick out and stand out, right? And so it's like moving from that light-bodied energy and only doing things that bring lightness and levity. And with Gemini, there's a cracking open of the heart, right? There is a playfulness, there is a youthfulness that comes with Gemini. Gemini is the jokester, it is the jester. And, you know, you're not, like back in the day, confirmation, back in the day, you weren't allowed to like engage in serious dialogue or like critical think until the jester came out and lightened up the crowd, right? Because it's why any good public speaker can like soften the crowd with a joke, right? It's why I think humor is such an underrated resource and tool, because it lightens and it softens connection and it opens the heart space so people feel more relaxed. Have you ever noticed how if you're having like an intense conversation with someone and then you crack a joke, it like softens the charge, and then you're able to come to a place of resolution quicker because that heart space opened. And that's really like the energy. It's like we're connecting back to our joy, our lightness, our levity, our happiness, our peace, which is all through the heart. And when you can come from that place of lightness, light can move so much faster. And so there's this big energy of like you're connecting to this like higher version of yourself that's living out their life from the energy of divine love, of joy, of peace, of authenticity, all within the heart. And so in order to do that, you have to break the fears of your past. And so a lot of people are getting kind of like triggered right now because they're like, you can no longer do things the way that you used to. We're moving into a lighter energy, like we're shifting our consciousness collectively to be in a more 4D, 5D reality. And so you can't move and make decisions on like a 3D plane. So anything from lack, from fear, from scarcity, from the logical mind, from control, from like literally like anything like logical moves do not make miracles. Do you know what I mean? Like nothing from the logical mind lands you in the land of miracles. And the heart space is really where quantum manifestation exists, because the heart is where the 5D is like the bridge for the 5D, right? And that is where limitless possibilities and quantum opportunities exist. It's in the 5D, right? But you can't see it. So anything with like the logical mind is something that you can see. Like if you can like check your bank account and know that there's money there, that's not trust, that's not faith, that's not certainty, that's just a fucking fact. But if you're being asked to move into the unknown, to build this $1 billion business, that actually requires trust, faith, and certainty, because you're going beyond your logical mind, because that $1 billion business isn't manifested in your account yet, like hasn't materialized yet. And so you have to move through the 3D world to create from the 5D. And that requires you to be comfortable with uncertainty, which is what Uranus and Taurus really supported us in doing, because Uranus and Taurus was like when you're embodied in safety, you're inwardly rock solid, when you know you're supported, when you trust your value, you trust your worth, when you're grounded and centered in yourself and you love yourself, you just can confidently move through this uncertainty and navigate the unknown waters, because you know that you like your life support is right there, and you're certain and you're convicted in your outcome, and you're comfortable with the change. So even though there's fear that may arise and present when everything is up in the air and everything feels uncertain and unknown, you can literally just hold the vision, because you have that inner solidity and you're not reliant on the external reality to reflect back to you that you're safe, or that the money will be there, or that the relationship will be there, or the security will be there, because it's already embodied within you. And that is what true power is. It's like being unwavered and unwobbled by anything outside of you, because you have it embodied internally. And then because it's embodied and anchored internally, the 3D has no choice but to reflect it back to you. And so moving from divine alignment, like higher alignment, like as your higher self, as like that heart-centered version of yourself is, like that, do you see how it immediately shifts the decisions that you're making? And the way that you make quantum shifts and shift timelines really fast is you consistently, diligently, and devotionally make decisions that break through the fear and then align you with that higher timeline. So all year, I have been moving from a higher timeline. And that requires you to make bold moves. It requires you to make bold decisions and have the nervous system capacity to maintain your certainty in the contrast, right? In the duality of change. Because again, like the way that expansion happens, it happens always in all ways at once. And so you have to know that like fear is going to surface when change is abound. Like it's just how energy works, right? And your brain doesn't like change, and so you have to consciously choose the change over and over and over again, and not let your mind and your ego hijack you from where you're going and hijack your alignment. And you're just like, I'm trusting myself, I'm trusting my intuition, I'm trusting where I'm guided to go, and I'm claiming this timeline here. Like you have to consciously choose the new timeline over and over and over again, and break through the fear of your past and break through the patterns. And so making decisions where your old patterns can't follow you, and just consistently breaking it until the new version of you is stabilized. And this is really like a full reset of your reality, of your identity, by making bigger, bolder moves and really like shocking your system. Uranus is a shockwave to your system. It brings catalytic change. And so if you're not taking your own free will to move your life and your energy forward, Uranus and Gemini is not going to be fun for you, because it's going to consistently shock you into change. And when people, it's so much easier to use your own volition to move than to have the 3D tower you into a move. Like Uranus can bring up tower moments for people. And it really is like Uranus will get your ass to fucking move, right? I think I talked about this in a different video, but it's like Uranus will kick your heels to the edge of the cliff so that you jump off. You know what I mean? And so, or it'll just like push you off if you're not using your free will to do to move in alignment. Because now, again, like we're moving from a higher octave energy, you can't move the same. You can't just do more, you have to do different. And so it's moving towards the better feeling emotion, the better feeling, and breaking the fear, the lack, the negativity, the uncertainty that surfaces when change is afoot. So many people, what happens is they go to move in a certain direction, and then a triggering event or experience happens, and then they do this, like they get wobbly in their in their uncertainty, right? So they're like, I don't know, right? Because they let the fear hijack their egos, hijack where they're going, instead of fully claiming and doubling down on where they're going. So they're like, I'm doubling down on the positive, I'm focusing on the positive, and that then puts you into a new timeline. And so what happens is people will then split, right? They'll be like, they'll energize this for a moment, then they'll energize this for a moment, and then they'll energize this for a moment, because the new reality hasn't been stabilized internally. When it's like, when you're fully resetting your reality, this timeline has to have your full-fledged focus and attention. Because if you're a racehorse and you're only going around this track, then that's the track you're going to be on. But so many people will like take their blinders off, and then they're running all over the fucking field, and then there's no structure and there's no certainty, because that masculine energy needs like a container, or the masculine energy is like the container for the new reality to flow into. And so there's this big energy, one of like rebalancing your inner masculine and feminine. Again, Gemini is the twins, it is the duality, it is the right side, it is the left side, right? Like the right side is the masculine, left side is the feminine, the structure for the flow, the groundedness for the creativity, the safety for the expression, right? You need both. And so it's really like just breaking open to a new way of doing things, and not letting the confusion and the uncertainty that comes with a quantum shift rock you. And so this is about balancing, like it's like, again, it's about being centered in yourself, grounded and centered in the masculine, feminine, and then moving from that place. And then you're equally in the doing and the receiving, right? It's like you have to do, and then it's not like, so many people will just like only be in the doing or only being in the receiving, right? And either one of those is out of balance. And so if you're like, it's constantly like playing with the circuitry of how energy flows. Because if you're like, what's authentic to you is being like 60% masculine, 40% feminine. then it's like you want to make sure you're supporting that circuitry so that everything in your life is flowing. And so sometimes you have to swing the pendulum in the opposite direction. So like, let's say you are really in your feminine, you actually have to swing the pendulum to the masculine to bring yourself back into a place of balance. So what that could look like for you is implementing a lot of structure, a lot of discipline, a lot of regiment and routine, and being kind of like more strict, not from a place of like harshness, but from a place of like love and support for your feminine, developing like those safety and groundedness practices, and actually like taking action and like really just consistently taking action in a direction. And then if you're in the masculine, then it's like, how can I actually open myself to receive? How can I allow myself time to create? How can I prioritize my self-care? How can I just do the things that make me joy and bring me happiness, right? It's like doing the inverse. And so you have to be honest with yourself about where your embodiment is. And two, like, this is where I think the nodes and understanding your birth chart is really helpful, because that will just like recenter and course correct your energy so that you can actually be in alignment. Because here's the thing, when you're in alignment, you know it, you feel it, because it's a feeling. Like, I was talking to a client and she was like, oh, all this stuff was just like flowing in. Like, and I'm like, yeah, that's because you're in alignment. Like, we did all this work to recenter and recalibrate your masculine and your feminine and the ways that you're operating. And so now you're getting an experience of like what it feels like to be in flow. And when you're in flow, like, that is the sweet spot, right? Like, that is the secret sauce. That's when you have to do a lot less effort and you get a lot more receiving. Like, you get a lot more abundance and opportunities and everything that you want, because you did the hard work to recenter and rebalance yourself. And so one of the things with Uranus and Gemini is like, it's gonna be this like really this strong balance. Because here's the thing, Gemini is the introvert extrovert. It is two sides. And so we just want to make sure that, like, again, like the introverted and the extroverted energy are balanced. Because like, if a Gemini is too extroverted, it burns out. If it's too introverted, it gets frozen and stuck and caught inside itself. And so you want to make sure that like the extroverted introverted energy is balanced. And like, because the introverted energy is important for like learning information and integrating and spending time alone and getting clear. And then the expression side and the externalized like action, like articulation side of like the extroverted energy of Gemini is also so important, because that is how opportunities and connection and network and joy and happiness happen. And so that balance is really important. And so Uranus is just going to come through and be like, either like heighten the introverted or heighten the extroverted. And so you want to make sure that you're just like integrated in the masculine and feminine and the introverted extroverted energy. Like, if you're too far introverted, you got to swing it to be way more extroverted. If you're way extroverted, you got to swing it to be more introverted. And so there's this big like pendulum recalibration between energy that like just needs to be rebalanced, which again starts with the body. But like, this is why your birth chart is so helpful. And like, so if you're unsure, just like book a session and I can give you clarity like in 2 seconds. Because this like integration is super important for you to really create and manifest a really fun, loving, joyful reality, because people's lives are going to shift really fast, and like divine union is coming in really fast. Opportunities are coming in, like things are going to start moving super, super fast. And like it's like a full, like everything that like happened in your life up until this point is irrelevant. It's like a brand new start. Who you were in the past is irrelevant. All that matters is where you're going now and what you're energizing now. And so you have to like step into this like new defined identity, this new defined reality of like the highest version of yourself. And like, that is the only thing that gets weight. And so there's this like huge, I really just see like the next 3 months are going to be so big for like setting yourself up. Like, if you take the next 3 months and you just like recalibrate and like reset yourself to like only energize this new timeline, like the next 6 months of the year are just going to be so fruitful, so magical, so full of abundance, so full of opportunities, confirmation. And so like the next 3 months are so important to set yourself up for success. So if you want to be supported in that trajectory so that you can timeline shift and really calibrate to this new identity and this future version of yourself. Like now, be grounded, be centered, be clear, navigate this with a lot more peace, trust, certainty, ease. Definitely jump into my one-on-one. I'm doing 60-day glow up, but really it's like my work is 12 weeks. So like to get a true transformation, it takes 12 weeks. So jump into my 12-week container, book a one-on-one session, because they are so helpful to get you clear, to get you certainty, to give you direction, to give you guidance, to give you support on this new timeline. And again, like we just like recalibrate your energy so that you can be centered and aligned with where you're going. And again, like the energy is going to move so fast. So as soon as like that new like timeline, that new recalibrated energy like clicks into place, then you can just go F1 racehorse down the new track. So it's a really powerful opportunity, and I'm excited to see what happens and where this all goes. So buckle up, baby. It's going to be the ride of your life, and everything will be different moving forward. So welcome the change and enjoy these shifts, and I'll see you on the next one.